I got to tell you about something that happened last year in the holidays. It was the night before Christmas, and everywhere in the house, nothing was going on. It was dark, and you couldn't, nothing was going on. And now the kids, they'd hung their stockings up, and they did it with care. They didn't use any of that cheap duct tape. They nailed them suckers to the fireplace. They did that hoping old Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, would be there that night. Well, we sent 'em to bed, and they were snoring. They were sawing some logs, and they had them visions and dreams of sugar plums just a dancing in their heads. And my wife and me, we'd put on our PJs and we'd climbed into bed and we was just settling down and hopefully getting a good night's rest. Then outside there was this big noise, and I mean it was huge, a big clattering noise, I guess you could call it. So I jumped out of bed and I wanted to see what the heck was going on. So I ran over to the window and opened the blinds, and I looked outside, and it was beautiful out there. The moon was just reflecting on that snow just as pretty as could be. And it made things almost look like midday. It was really something. Well, when I was out there just gazing at the beauty that I saw, something caught my eye. It was a tiny little sleigh and 8 little reindeer. And it had a little fat guy in the back cracking a whip at them suckers. I knew in a minute it must be that Santa Claus feller coming. So they were really quick. Man, they were all over the place. And he whistled and he shouted and he called them by name. He said, "Now, Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, come on, Comet and Cupid and Donder and Blitzen, to the top of that porch and to the top of that wall. We got to get up on the roof, y'all." So, well, it was just amazing. So the next thing I know, I hear this noise on the top of the roof. I can hear them suckers, and I was ticked off because I had just re-roofed that thing. We had some holes up there and leaked, and I was peeved. I tell you what, I was peeved. They were up there with all that weight, that big fat guy in the back, and he had a big thing, a bag that was up there too, you know. So I run downstairs because I was like I said, I was ticked off. I was gonna give that guy a piece of my mind. Why can't he come through the front door like normal people? Well, next thing I know, as I'm going downstairs, he comes plopping in through my chimney. Man, I was ready. I was ready to give him a piece of my mind. And he looked at me, and his eyes, they twinkled, kind of disarmed me. His cheeks, they were all red and rosy. He was a merry old bugger. He had a little funny smile, and he had that beard, and it was just as white as the snow. And the bugger, he had a stump of a pipe in his mouth, and he's sitting there smoking in my family room. I was getting peeved again. And then he blew a smoke ring and it encircled his whole head like a wreath. And his face was really fat, and he had that belly, and he laughed. And when he laughed, the whole room shook. It shook like jello. He was chubby and plump and a happy old dude, and I kind of laughed. I kind of laughed even though I was ticked off. He winked at me and he twisted his head, and pretty soon he started throwing presents out of that bag and all kind of stuff. And I raised my hand to say, "Hey, how do you do all this?" And he put his finger up the side of his nose, and he nodded his head, winked his eye, and then up that chimney. He just rose right up there. I heard him on the roof again. He got in that sleigh up there, and he whistled at them deer, and they flew away. And I was like, man, did I see what I just saw? And as I looking out the front door, that dude come down by his sled there with them reindeer, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to leave now, but you have a happy Christmas to all your family and to everybody, and good night."